Pacific Drive is Stalker, but with a vehicle, you will go out on foot together, but the vehicle is your transport, your survival, and it's also your mobile base while you're out in the zone. There are enough hazards out in the zone that you'll be forced to spend the majority of your time inside your vehicle in order to avoid getting cooked or blown away by one of the many anomaly storms. If you are separated from your vehicle for too long, things can go very wrong very quickly. This is one of those gathering, crafting, survival, and horror games. Although our character is a silent protagonist type, a type that I'm quite tired of by now, at least your compatriots through the radio fill in some of the otherwise isolated loneliness within the zone. This is not quite a full playthrough, I'll get to that later. Right now, this has shown up on Game Pass, and I'm taking advantage of it before the absurd price hike and Game Pass sets in and makes it a less viable option for gaming. This game has caught my attention and grabbed me. For now, this is just a short journey into the deep sections of the zone. I have spent a lot of time building my vehicle up pretty solidly in preparation for breaching into the deep zone. Since this is my first playthrough, I don't actually know what to expect. I just know what I've run into before, which is a multitude of hazards and a few zone instability events that I got turned into scrambled eggs, let's say. As always, spoilers. We're somewhere near what I suspect is the end, perhaps 2/3 of the way through, and this is a story mission. I just wanted to show off the difficulty menu present in this game because it's pretty awesome. This allows you to alter almost everything about the difficulty, both to make it easier, but also to make it more difficult if you are so inclined. All of this is immediately available and can be altered mid-game at any point for any reason. This is something more games should have, the ability to completely customize your experience to your personal taste. Don't like your tires getting punctured? Lower the intensity or remove it entirely. Don't like fuel or battery stress? Or find them too easy? Remove it or even make it consume at a greater rate. Don't like the instability storms that turn you into scrambled eggs? Remove or lower them, or make them more common. The choices here are incredibly diverse, and you can literally tailor the game to whatever kind of experience you want it to be. This is the map of what I've unlocked currently. This story mission here is the mission to breach into the deeper zone, which is the final place I haven't been to yet. The map is fairly detailed, showing what is available as well as potentially what hazards might exist. You get to plan your route here, which will usually either be a beeline towards an objective or a particular biome in search of zone items unique to that biome. Early on, you're just gathering materials, but later on you will want to gather specific items that are available only in specific areas. I have made some of those aforementioned difficulty changes here, making starting the car and shifting gears an easier affair. I'm not quite feeling the immersive sim aspects present here, but you can totally tweak them to your flavor. All that's left now is to head to the road, to the stable gateway, and enter the zone. You never really know what you're going to run into out here. This is a highway zone, sort of like a fast travel in the sense that I'm skipping some of the zones by traveling through here. There's a pile-up present with a transport truck that I just can't pass by without rifling through its contents. After all, I sort of have a bag of holding on the roof of my car over here. I can hold really whatever I want up here. There's a lot of miscellaneous stuff in the back of these transport trucks, and I just grab it all. I don't differentiate much anymore now that I have a large storage on the roof and just grab most things. There's also odds and ends as well as road flares in the back of most car trunks. I still use these occasionally to light a path in the unnaturally dark zones, especially when gathering anchor energy. I might also add here that, at least in the console version of Pacific Drive, there is no rain on the windshields. I still run the wipers as flavor though when it's raining. It just kind of looks cooler that way. There's always this tunnel in the highway bypass zone. This might have cars or offshoot doors with loot in them. I don't really need anything here, but being the pack rat that I am, I still gather it. I might just need some supplies later in my vehicle, as I have a portable workbench in the back, in case I run into some sort of difficulties in the run. I spin out a bit in the mud here. I've replaced my off-road tires with all-terrain and have discovered that they can spin out in the wet mud occasionally. I still think it is better as I have good tracking on all materials now instead of just really good on off-road. This little guy here will attach to your vehicle and cause all sorts of malfunctions. One of my first upgrades was a shield that repels these guys that try to stick to your vehicle. Otherwise you gotta get out, remove them, and then toss them away. All of which can be dangerous if there's a storm around. This is some anchor energy. I try to grab some before I get into the meaner zones, just so I have the option to skedaddle if an instability storm closes it in. I didn't like my experience with getting turned into scrambled eggs, so now I am always prepared to flee if I have to. So normally, when you grab energy, you can spawn anomalies and other hazards. This also has the potential to cause instability in the zone. In this circumstance, I park way too far away, but I try to keep a certain distance to avoid the explosion of anomalies when I grab one of these. In this situation, these two are actually right next to each other, and seemingly they don't cause any immediate problems, so I just grab both. This here is the map of the zone you're in, which is in your car. It shows us relevant points of interest. The yellow circles are anchor energy positions, the size indicating, I think, how much energy is present. The blue tape is one of the logs, which I don't grab, even though I probably should have. The structures around indicate what potential loot can be found. The arrow at the top is our only exit to move to the next zone. You have to travel sequentially to each location on your route planned at the map. I'm still gathering energy for the emergency evacuation, if that turns out to be required. Here's another one of these transport trucks. It's right next to an anomaly, but fortunately this one has a visible route, so I'm relatively safe next to it. Still, I move a little ways over before disembarking. I don't think I showed this before, but my trunk here is filled with a bunch of responses to whatever I might find. Mechanical kits, repaired putty, even sealing kits as well as med kits. Also have some extra equipment in here just in case things break and I still have stuff to gather. Also have a large fuel tank in here as I've almost gotten stranded because of punctured fuel tanks in the past. Oh hey, here, this is one of those biome-specific resources. You can gather these by hand if you hate yourself, otherwise just use a vacuum. I have a thermal vacuum for the swamp coral, but it works with these too. This here is an unstable anchor, the mid-zone energy source. I park pretty close to this one, but I always leave the engine running and the door open, just so I can make a hasty retreat. Seemingly nothing happens here, but as you can see on the horizon and on the map, some event is rolling into the zone currently. I might have gone for the other anchor if not for that, but I decided to just leave. Somehow I don't flip going down this hill too fast. I've been in a few tumbles and they aren't pleasant, especially if you roll over into anomalies. Usually I take hills a little more cautiously than this though. That's interesting. We crossed some train tracks right there. I'm not sure I've seen these before, and I've been around in the outer and mid-zone a lot.
The first to try crossing the old wall since anomalies moved in. But we'll make sure you're the first to survive. Two things to keep in mind. First, to get to the old wall, there are 5 crossing points. You need to induce the electrical grid the entire way by driving the car close enough and fast enough along the conductors. You'll see them as you go. Once you jumpstart the grid, Tobias will route the mid-zone power your way, but no induction, no power, no crossing. Second, watch your battery gauge. You will live or die by that thing. Got it? Good. Start by connecting the power grid at the first crossing point. The controls will be up in the observation tower.
This is how the game delivers story via radio call from a trio of characters. Since your character doesn't have input, they have to fill in that void. This is sometimes awkward, and you might miss sections because they will be talking, but you might be trying to also survive some unpleasant set of anomalies or a storm or the like. Usually it's a place like this where you can just relax and hear what's going on, but unfortunately not always. This map is a stable zone, meaning it won't have a random instability storm, so you can stay as long as you like, for the most part. Usually in these zones I go and gather everything I can. This one is a bit different though, as we need to light up the route to the deeper zone, so I'll actually bypass gathering much of anything. Fortunately I have enough anchor energy to activate a gateway if I need to, but I don't, as this and the next zone are stable points. There's some different anomalies to scan, and there's also this beach ball which has red balloon resources. I'm not even sure what this is for, but I'm always here to gather new resources. There's some spooky looking city remnants out here. I wonder if we'll see more of that in the deep zone. Is it just like a city and industrial area?
There are old shuttle stops at each crossing point. Use them to recharge your battery and hope they're still in working condition after all these years.
In this mission, we have to run from point to point along this predetermined route. I think this is where I'm supposed to use the limb shield in order to prevent damage to my vehicle, but I'm so upgraded, the only thing that seems to get damaged are my headlights, and they drain pretty quickly.
Tobias, how's the power routing?
Well, the neighbors are complaining about the flickering lights, but I told them to light some candles and sit tight.
Francis?
Levels are good, holding steady.
Every circuit has a tower and a shed, and these have some supplies in them, which I stopped to gather. It seems like only my headlights are going to suffer substantially this run, and indeed I'll be using a bit of the putty on them to keep them from breaking. I think I might have one replacement, but I don't want to lose them regardless.
Getting some interference, Tobias. The power supply is wavering.
I'm working on it. A local battery farm is putting up a fuss. She hasn't been taxed like this in a while, but I'm easing her into it, don't worry.
This is most of the mission right here, driving through a winding route with anomalies everywhere. Getting charged from the pylons as the team we never actually see work on keeping the power operational.
Battery farms 1 through 3 are reporting total power drain. They're spent.
How long to recharge?
Could take up to a day.
No, I got this.
This is a weird anomaly. You see a lot of tourists, as they are called, out in the earlier zone, and they can cause some problems for you, but this one's just weird.
Battery farm 6 core's overloaded. It's shutting down.
We can't lose the remnant. I won't let it go.
Get back inside. The radiation's peaking.
I've got to repair it. I'll be damned if I'm gonna let this plan fail. We're too close. Your theory. We can still prove it.
Tom, it's too dangerous out there. Tobias. Please, Tobias, come back.
I'm at the battery farm. The fuse box is totally liquefied, but I can bypass it.
Francis, I need you back at the control board.
Not now, Hoppy!
The minute Tobias reroutes that line, you need to push the connection. Miss it by a split second and we lose the entire power grid.
Almost ready.
Please don't do this!
Francis, it's now or never.
Tobias! I'm rerouting the grid now. I'll be ready for you.
I've used a lot of repair putty on these lights. Fortunately, I brought nearly an inexhaustible supply of this stuff just for this particular occasion and reason. I have perhaps over-prepared for this mission, believing it was going to be more than we have experienced. I haven't even needed to use the limb shield all that much lately. Another bunker sequence with anomalies everywhere. Suddenly Stalkers 2's anomalies don't seem so bad, but then again I can survive traipsing into these. This is a new anomaly, the tourist trap. I'm so focused on getting through this event that even after ramming into this one, I don't stop to scan it. You want to scan basically everything at least once to unlock stuff in a research terminal back at the auto shop. I'll get in a little bit later though.
Give us the signal, Tobias. Tobias? Stay with us.
I got you, Hoppy. Friends. Well, what do you know? One time, I find myself out of things to say. Hoppy, take care of him for me. Francis, I love you forever.
I love you forever.
Power's back online. Francis, now!
Tobias, answer! Someone is answering!
Don't do it! You can't go out there! Driver, the power's holding steady. You can open
This is always the weird disconnect between story and gameplay. We have a character sacrificing himself and dying to keep this power grid online. Meanwhile, I'm out here happily looting structures before actually proceeding onward. Passing through this gate, the map opens up, revealing that we've reached into the deep zone for the first time.
The entire area got scrambled in instability. I'm afraid, Tobias.
I told you. I told you, didn't I? We weren't ready. We should have planned it better. We should have known.
We did the best we could.
No. Do not give me that. If we had, he'd be here with us.
I'm sorry, but we've got to help the driver.
Don't you dare. What? Wait, is this how you dealt with Alan's death? You put your head down and let work fill the gaps?
Actually, that's precisely what I did. And you'll recall the breakthrough in self-healing materials that I made that year.
Oh, well, good for you. I'm sure Alan would have been very proud of you using his death that way.
You know what? Pep talk I gave you before to convince you to go through with it. That's precisely the same crap Alan would tell me all the time. It's worth the sacrifice. Stay late, don't worry about me. Finish your work, and then we can start a family. Always he'd spew that crap.
So why'd you say it to me?
Because he has to have been right.
Because if I let myself think he was wrong, then
I can't live with that regret. I gave everything for them. This is the last thing I'm holding on to for myself. Every single day I still think about how if I had left the zone when we had planned to, I wouldn't have lost Alan. I hoped that
Limtech was done killing our own.
This is another one of those stable zones, and gathering the anchor energy here is crucial, as this is my first contact with the corrupted anchor energy. I'll be getting everything here, as I'll need a ton to do any sort of upgrades back at the auto shop. Although ultimately I'll need the shards too in order to build any of the upgrades I research. But I don't realize that at this time. This really is the remains of a city, scrambled and broken up because of all the instability, but very different from most of the outskirts that I encountered before. This is also my first encounter with the corrupted energy. They don't just let me take this either. The tourist traps buffet me around, causing significant damage, but I only notice how different they are once I get in my vehicle. I finally get out and scan one. I was lucky enough that they just rose up around the vehicle and not under it as they have in the past. You can siphon fuel from the tanks of abandoned vehicles. Technically I have a backseat tank which is also full, but after running out of gas in a pass because of a puncture, I try to keep everything topped off when you have those rare moments of blessed quiet. This city is pretty eerie, especially with the foggy darkness present here. The game does the quiet periods very well, and I do like those in games. That quiet can be easily interrupted by pulling out another anchor energy though, or just a storm stumbling into the location you're in if you're not in a stable zone. Weirdly, I discover an unstable anchor here. I didn't know they mix like that. I don't need it, so I go instead to the corrupted anchors. This is a stabilized zone, so that means no instability storms, and maybe it also lessens the amount of anomalies, because I go through both of these corrupted anchors without much effort. There's only a few tourist traps around. They didn't really offer much resistance for this first and second one. There's a few tourist traps here, but not enough to impede my way. Free energy. I'll buy that for $1. Well, there certainly are enough anomalies out here in this particular location. They are mostly avoidable. Variety, however, with only a few tourist traps popping up here and there, and some haphazard attempt to block my progress. I'm sure future trips into the deep zone will not be this docile, though. I do get buffeted around a bit here, getting this final corrupted anchor. Now all that is left is to go activate the stabilization tower and then escape to the auto shop. There's a fuel truck here. I think I missed this because I was cutting through off-road and bypassed this section of the road. I mostly refueled earlier from the mostly empty tanks of crash cars, but might as well top it off everything while I'm here, even though I'm probably leaving this zone very soon. There's this random scraper out here on the road. I've seen tourists throw unusual items occasionally. Perhaps this is where this came from? It's an older variety, so I'll probably just throw it into the auto shop's scrapping machine, but waste not, want not, I guess. Oh, this is funny. I just noticed that I have so much roof storage, I forgot about this dumped pearl in one of the roof sections. This is from a mission way back, probably. Time to activate this tower and then be forced to skedaddle back home. If the alarm and the suddenly demonically red skies appearing weren't indication enough, the zone can crumble to instability once you either activate a gate or complete whatever mission objective there is. Sometimes this is closer or further away, and you might have to make a mad dash to the giant pillar of light before you get scrambled. In this instance, it's just a short jaunt over there.
Welcome back. Now we know where the well is.
But you're the first to step foot in the deep zone in over 15 years. And I need more time to understand Alan's suppression method.
So why don't you stretch your legs and chart the deep zone while you're at it? We'll need to map a way to the well as it is.
That was actually a relatively and surprisingly uneventful run. The story missions tend to have stabilized zones, so you don't have to deal with the chaos you might otherwise run into when you're just out hunting for supplies. Sometimes when you gather an anchor, it triggers a deadly event, more than just localized anomalies, forcing your retreat either into a gate or moving on to another zone. Sometimes there are just storms present regardless of what you do too. I've been thoroughly enthralled with this game the same way the first Stalker grabbed me back in the day. It's been consuming my game time lately, and in the future I may do a more comprehensive journey throughout, and almost certainly on a harder difficulty now that I understand the basic concepts within the game. Until that point, and as usual, if you made it here to the end, thanks for watching and stay safe out there in these dark times.